Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Today's Thursday, February the 8th, the year 2018. Enough! This is kind of related to yesterday's video. You know, do you know when to quit? Yesterday I was focused on the trading. Today I'm focused on systems indicators. Enough. I mean, some traders' screens, we call it chart porn or charts on drugs, have so many indicators and displays that you can't even see the price. I mean, it's just a mess. I mean, the one stream is the naked chart, no indicators, not even horizontal lines, just bars or candles or just a line. The other extreme is, like I said, charts on drugs or chart porn. So how do you know when you have enough systems, enough indicators? Well, it goes all the way back to what works for you. I mean, really, I can't tell you what enough is for you. Only you can make that determination. And in a way, if there's some guy out there trading with what I would consider a chart on drug and they're profitable, all the power to them. I mean, we each have to find our own way as traders. Just like in life, you got to find your own way. What works for the next guy might not work for you. And what works for you might not work for the next guy. So, but that's one of those things where you got to put your ego in check. Trying to tell other people what to do, and on the other hand, you have to put yourself in check. You got to know when it's enough. That being said, it's never enough money and risk management. You have to focus. I mean, this is a you can't really have too much. You just have to pay attention to the money and to the risk. And see, a lot of times words have, more than one meaning. Like, what's that, Stairway to Heaven? Sometimes words have two meanings. So maybe on the Stairway to Profit, you got to realize risk. When you have a trade on, you've got risk on. When you exit that trade, then risk is off. And that's part of risk. It's like knowing when to have risk and knowing when not to. And sometimes some markets for some traders are just too risky, so they need to step aside, like maybe trading news. They just don't do well. On the other hand, if the market's really quiet and barely moving at all, there's some traders they should not enter that market. They need to wait for the volatility to kick in. So once again, what is enough? So when it comes to charts, dashboards, I mean, you just want to put enough, what you're looking for. So here I've got the weekly, and as we can see, price came all the way down here, and then it cut back above there. There was an opportunity to take that long. And then right here, when it came back through the previous week's low, heading back into that weekly wick zone, there was an opportunity to take that long. And we still have the euro yen still hasn't filled the gap. Still 258 pips below the weekly open. So you add that 20 to there, that's right now that's 280 pips it would have to make up, and it's Thursday, so I don't think this gap's gonna fill. I just don't, but anything could happen. But back to enough, I mean, I'm looking at two wick zones here, then I added the inside bar. We can see, well, it might be difficult to see because this is highlighted, but we had an inside bar 1 bar ago. And so since that was an inside bar, that was one of the, last week was inside bar. This week you were looking to see if you can exit, if it's going to break through. And it did. Nice trade there to the south side. And then I just, once again, weekly close the open just to see how far price is away from that week, the current week's open. And the spread, this is mainly a first beginning of the week, because I want to make sure the spreads are reasonable before I enter the trade. Moving on to the daily, and once again, dashboard, we've got price, and then where is price in relation to open, the high, and the low. You can see here the ones in magenta means those trades are in the rat zone. And you can see here we had a breakthrough of yesterday's high. It went down and looks like it barely broke yesterday's low, turned around and came right back up. And you can see here in the buy zone what happened. We got a trigger. If you're trading that first New Zealand Australian session and we triggered, that would have been a loser. Unless you waited for that second line, then you would be in no trade. Here you had a trigger, could have taken profit. You see here, profit, the price came up, didn't break the high, started going down. Take your money off the table. Right here, another opportunity, came back, went up past it. On the way down, when it came down right there, should have had your stop set to lock in your profit. And then you see once again it came up, didn't make it. There's a false, not a false, but that would have been a loser. Come down here would have stopped out, but if you turned around and took that trade the other way, would have made your pips back. Right here, another winner. Same thing, looking at that price action. And then finally, boom. Money to be made. And you see, what is enough? And once again, you see here, I was working with a trader yesterday on the phone, and he made his donation and got indicators, and he was asking me about the rat zone template. I go, well, there's really no template for the rat zone. I mean, or the buy zone. It's one indicator that does it here, and then I've added a few. The B clock, and then here, well, you can't see it because I've got comments, but the TRO time, I've got the comments turned on in the buy zone. I guess I could turn those off. Now that I think about it. And then you can see the TRO time, and basically this is, I made this indicator when I was posting charts because people were always criticizing me, this, that, or the other thing. So here you go, there's the time, so you can see if I post a chart like maybe within the minute of taking the picture, you can't really say that that's hindsight. And so I had the bar time, the server time, my local time, and then how much time bar ends, which is the same as right here. Then the template name, just to make things easy. And I also showed the guy how to save his template in the magnified marking price and then the buttons. So really no big deal. And then once again, we're looking at the rat zone. So the pound right now is in the rat zone. And see once again how many indicators are enough. Well, some of these, maybe you don't need this on your chart. Maybe you don't need that one. You don't need it. The rat zone does most of this. So you see here, if I turn this indicator off, you see these are all just, you probably don't want to have my tag on your chart, or maybe you do. And then you've got the buttons if you want them, and the multimeter tells you the candle color and how many in a row. And then the template name, but the rat zone indicator pretty much has everything on it for trading the rat zone. And as you can see here, the train's about to leave the station. The ship is about to sail if you want to take that short. And once again, here we had a pivot trade. And then once again, it was near the open, hit the pivot, and has actually hit R2. So once again, simple, simple, simple enough. We've got the pivot indicator, the time, the magnified market price, the template name buttons. How many is enough? Now you might say, okay, but you've got all these systems. Why, is that really isn't that too much? Well, maybe for you it is, maybe for me it isn't. You have to do it for yourself. A lot of people look for guidance, and that's one thing. I can point you in a direction, but you have to decide how far you want to go and when to stop. In fact, it's kind of funny, kind of relating to today's topic. I was over at a couple of my prepper buddies' place yesterday, and they live on a road, and they live maybe about a mile or two at the most away from the ocean and the river. And so if we ever have that big Cascadia earthquake and tsunami, they should probably be safe, but the lower land is going to be underwater. Let's just say it's going to be totally destroyed. Now, there's a sign that says like tsunami evacuation, and it points up their road. And my one friend was saying, they tell them to come down here, but they don't say how far or where. It's like, when's enough? It says, I don't want them coming to my place. So they need to be changing those signs and put some signs like turn them, go down, come up here, but then go that way, and then, stop. Because think about it, there could be some, tourists in town, and they have no idea. They're just walking down the road aimlessly. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. I said, you know what, you're right. I got to bring that up to the emergency management because that's something that's important. When have you walked enough? When have you walked far enough? So anyway, back to trading. 3-ball, as you can see, hasn't broken the high. When you have this kind of violent move, it's just wait. For me, this is a wait. I don't care if it comes all the way down here. I am waiting because it's been experience to just wait for that 3-ball. Okay, so right here, it was a 3-ball, was most likely here. As soon as this thing opened, it came back a bit, didn't quite hit that line, but then it broke to the upside. So maybe you might want to take the continuation trade, because see, the 3-ball is not really the 3-level ZZ indicator here that I've really modified the heck out of. This indicator really indicates breakouts, and for those of you who are interested, I've done a few videos about it because there's a lot of misconceptions regarding this indicator or surrounding this indicator. But it indicates breakouts, not reversals. Okay, and we're looking here at the 5 lines. As you can see, what happens when the H1 candle hits the line and you trade with the candle color. And wick zone, price doesn't like staying in the wick zone. Enough said. Holo zone, here we have an opportunity on the horizon. We know price reverses through that highest open and reverses through the lowest open. Enough said. Okay, squigglies, enough. Tick, once again, it's kind of simple. If the ask goes below the peak of the bid, they're selling. If the bid comes above the valley of the ask, they're buying. Enough said. And speaking of enough said, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade. TheRumpledOne going to drain the banks. Enough said.